A little bit ago, you brought up the aquatic center and the rows and things like that. Now, I don't know if you know, in 2015, I ran for city council. I came in dead last, but I tried anyway. One of the things that was the big topic was the TIF districts. There was a forum at Weisenmore, and they had asked I think someone asked me direct, what would you have done with the money of the TIF district? Because it was something that at the time I was not for. And my answer was, well, if we're going to play hypotheticals and we can go back in time, well, I would have never voted for the TIF districts. I would probably now, having, if hindsight's 2020, I would probably now say, yeah, the TIF districts are, I probably would have voted for them. What are your thoughts on the TIF, the Rose, the Aquatic Center, things like that? Do you have a thought on these things, or?
Sure. I think, so number one, TIF is when I first started trying to wrap my head around TIFs, how they were created, where the revenues came from, what they were used for, I spent a lot of nights with headaches trying to understand how all these things worked.
Right.
But ultimately, the TIF districts were created back in the 60s in California for the purpose of development.
And so that's what scared me. That's what scared me was back then when I was doing research, I researched a lot of the California ones that had failed. That's what had scared me, is those California TIFs. Go ahead. Well,
ultimately what happens is the federal government allows us, the city, because it's all about property taxes.
Right.
So the county is who collects property taxes. And then the county redistributes those property taxes to all the entities that get that money. The city gets their portion, then the schools get their portion, and so that money gets divided up. But all the money comes from actual property taxes. So let's talk about carriage trails. I mean, that has been a big issue that people have talked about for years, I guess. So the people that live in carriage trails, when those houses are built, and they get their tax bill, their property tax bill goes to Miami County. So it's a Miami County TIF. Now, normally, since they live in Miami County, Heber Heights is Montgomery County, when Miami County divvies up that money and sends it back and redistributes that money, we never would have got that money to begin with if there wasn't a TIF. So we're actually collecting and keeping property tax money to the tune of about 45%, which equates to, I believe, about $1,200 to $1,400 per rooftop that's built in carriage trails over a 30-year period. The money that we're collecting in a TIF, we never would have received in the first place if we didn't establish that TIF. Now, where the city benefits as well, even though it's in Miami County, it's considered City of Heber Heights. So all the people that live in carriage trails are paying income tax to the City of Heber Heights. And as we know, income tax is the biggest source of revenue for any city. It's not property tax. Without a TIF, typical property taxes that come back to the city are 5-10%, because the schools get the majority of that money. Now, so Miami County had to agree to that TIF. The school board, the Heber Heights City School Board, had to agree to that TIF. And this year, in 2017, we've already written a check to the schools for almost, a little over $500,000. And somewhere between now and December, we'll be writing another check out of that Miami County TIF to Heber Heights City Schools for about another $500,000. So it's just a matter of kind of being patient, letting the TIF districts build and develop, collect all that property tax money, and then we're giving money to the tune of about $1 million back to Heber Heights. Now, for Miami County with the Bethel schools, that's considered a non-school TIF. So the schools there are still getting the same amount of property tax money going into their schools as they would have been without the TIF, if it had just been straight property tax. So where a lot of people are concerned and worry and think that, well, we're providing all these subsidies out of general fund tax dollars from the city of Heber Heights, so that's not the case. The TIF money is coming from Miami County to the city, and then the subsidies we're providing is out of a TIF fund that we never would have had the houses and had the development not occurred in the first place. So all that development is happening. So Miami County is paying us money to build a development that attracts people to live there that now pay income tax to the city, on top of the assessments and the water tap fees. You know, Heber Heights, we own our water company. We provide them water. So it is a good thing, but it's understanding all the moving parts and pieces, you know, to how that works. So TIFs are just a way that communities can invest in their community, provide infrastructure, and then recapture the property taxes that would normally go to the county. We get to keep. We get to retain that. And yes, some of that is school money, but the schools will ultimately catch up and they'll receive the money that they should.
So, if I may play devil's advocate, if property values decrease, how does that affect the TIF for those listening?
Well, it would just be less revenue that would be coming into kind of what we would call a TIF account. But property values, I mean, we know those are flexible. And I think if you talk to anybody who's ever saying real estate has always been one of the safest investments, because we know that markets fluctuate. So sometimes, you know, property values may go down, but then they get reassessed. Property values go up. And in fact, I believe, I attended the school board meeting where Carl Keith, the Montgomery County Auditor, spoke. And during these new assessments they're doing, you know, it's kind of the good thing, bad thing, right? So property values have been reassessed in Montgomery County, and they've increased. So the bad side of that is people's property taxes are going to go up because their property values are going to go up. But now in property tax, the majority of that money in non-TIF districts all go into the schools, so it helps the schools and everything else. So we're in a period right now where property values are going up and demand for housing is up. And that's just basic supply and demand economics. We have a demand for housing, and as housing demands increase, so does property values. And that's where we're at right now. I mean, that's the environment that we're in. So I don't see property values going down. I think from the 2008 market crash, we've gone about as down as far as we can go. Now everything is back on the upswing, and we're just going to be reaping the rewards of those property taxes in those TIF districts that will help fund and pay for all the other things that we've done, ultimately, that's tried to increase the quality of life for the residents here, meaning the Aquatic Center and the Rose, and why, and who knows whatever else that we can do in the future that can increase and help the quality of life of the people that live here.
Mm-hmm. And
so it is a good thing. It is a good thing done in the right way. And that TIF right now, Montgomery Miami County TIF, there's something $4 to $6 million in that TIF account that's just sitting there that can be used for, you know, and that all leads into the 2025 plan. You know, our 2025 plan says that by 2025, and even it has to be adjusted to 2026 or 2027 based on how the annual tax bills come in. So even if that gets modified, we still have a plan that's solid and works, and we know we will have enough money in those TIF funds that pay all the debt service on all the things that we have from 2025. And no money out of the general fund gets spent. It's all funded by TIF money. And understanding how that works is key. There was a big sports complex that was just approved by Warren County Commissioners down in Warren County. I think it's a $17, $18 million
I think I heard
complex they're building on there.
Uh-huh.
In the article, they clearly laid out Every bit of that infrastructure, everything that's being done there is all being done and funded by TIF in Warren County.
Yeah, it's
so
TIFs are popular.
People
right now, they're
about
heating up.
People are excited about that. Think that's a great idea. What they've done in Warren County to build this big sports facility complex that's going to attract hundreds of thousands of people and lots of revenue around in Warren County is no different than what we've done with carriage trails, the Clark Center, and the Rose. It's no different.